I'm Professor of International Politics in the Department of War Studies at King's College London. My own field is what is called in international relations, a field of critical security studies. So my work has been focused largely on understanding, analyzing and interrogating security practices. So my research is based in international politics, particularly analyzing security and security practices. It is a field that is often referred to as critical security studies. This collaborative research that is conducted together with my colleague Tobias Blanke at King's College London indeed focuses on the production of otherness with big data and algorithms, particularly in security practices. Now, to give you a better idea of how this happens, I need to take a step backwards to first see how the other has been produced traditionally in security practices, right? So when we think about threat and danger, we think about the enemy. So a key practice of security has been the identification of enemies. We can think here of militaries, for example, who identify an enemy in order to defend a territory against an enemy. But we also have seen practices of the production of certain categories of populations as somehow abnormal or pathological and therefore posing a threat to society. We argue that now, with algorithms and big data, this is changing. It is not that enemies or abnormal categories of populations have disappeared, but there is a different other who is produced as an anomaly. The question of prediction is very important for a lot of security practices, and particularly we have heard a lot about big data, that big data has now the capacity to see into the future. However, Tobias Blanke and I have argued that we need to understand prediction for security, and I think prediction more generally with big data, as not primarily future-oriented. So we have seen, for example, the language of prediction being used in relation to the past or in relation to the present, by Google, for instance, predicting the present. And we think that we need to understand prediction. Our argument is more in terms of the calculation, a particular regime of calculation within the space of data, an abstract space that we call feature space. So it's about calculating distances between data points. So anomaly is often used metaphorically. There isn't one definition of anomaly, but in a lot of the machine learning or the computing literature, anomaly is that which is discrepant, somehow dissonant from the regularity of data. So anomaly is not about a social norm, right? What is normal in a society, what is established, but is about whatever might be somehow discrepant once you have a lot of data. And what is discrepant changes all the time, right? With more data, you could have very different anomalies emerging all the time. So the question of anomaly detection for security practices has focused quite a lot on counterterrorism, right? On a particular understanding of security threats around terrorism. We also want to pursue this work to think about policing, for example, the changes in the conduct of war, changes or the uses of big data and algorithms for development, and more broadly for international politics. We'll ask questions of, for instance, citizenship. How do we decide when we are, if you want, in a digital space, how do we decide about the distinction between who is a citizen and who is not a citizen when you don't have a passport, but all you have, for instance, is phone metadata or some social media data?